Hello everyone, let's continue smelling samples, and today we're discussing some Guerlains, and they will be La Petite Robe Noire Eau de Parfum Absolue and Ne m'oubliez pas, and we're going to also speak of Chanel Chance Eau Fraîche Eau de Parfum and Cartier Carat, because soon I'll get back to Cartier. I don't know which one to begin with. I'll probably begin with Chanel Chance Eau Fraîche Eau de Parfum. So there's also Eau Fraîche Simple, which is kind of, it's a silly name if you ask me, because in perfumery an Eau Fraîche is a category of fragrances it's a concentration category, just like Eau de Toilette and Eau de Cologne. Before Eau de Cologne, I think you have Eau Fraîche, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, let's see what this smells like. It's quite common smelling. It's like a fruity, floral. It's not that I don't like it. It's just that I've smelled this so many times before, and I'm not terribly familiar with Chanel Chance, but I think it kind of respects the it being a flanker of Chanel Chance. I think it kind of respects the idea of Chance to some degree. But it's just so common. It's musky, floral, fruity. I think Chance and Chance Eau Fraîche has always been a fragrance dedicated to the younger fragrance users, which I think is appropriate. There's a bit of watery cologne type of note. It's very aquatic, this one. And it reminds me of every Calvin Klein watery fragrance ever produced, which again is not at all a bad thing, but it does feel rather common. Now let's look on the notes for this, because I cannot for the life of me. Oh, the notes are citron, aldehydes, jasmine, teak wood, and amber. It's definitely a bit citrusy, but more than citrus, there's a fruity aspect, which I guess might come from the cologne, because I still think there's quite a bit of cologne in this. It's that watermelon, fresh cucumber smell, which is something, it's very 90s, this one. It's musky as well, and they don't cite musk at all. But they do cite amber, and I wonder if that's not an ambergris, actually, instead of, the regular amber accord. There's also a bit of, maybe just a hint, a very tiny hint of vanilla, but it's that vanillic, citrusy thing you get when you're smelling a bergamot, or a lime, better said. It's a nice blend, but I'll have to let this settle for a bit, because I'm a bit underwhelmed by it, to be honest. And the next one, okay, let's smell Carat, and then we'll get to the Guerlains. So after this video, I'll get back to Cartier, and I'm going to smell quite a few fragrances from that house. So at least 2 more videos of Cartier, but I'll let Carat into this video for some reason. Now this one is rather, I think, similar in structure with Chance Eau Fraîche, it being another musky, fruity scent. I don't know what it was with fruits and fruity scents lately. I've had only fruity scents. This one, I smell a touch of something bitter, citrusy, spicy. Might be some grapefruit or something of the like, but this one is also very, very watery. If you ask me, I do prefer the way Carat is done to Chanel Eau Fraîche, simply because Chanel Eau Fraîche is just so common. This one is a lot more elegant, and that bitter facet, I think, saves it quite a lot. It gives it an air of elegance and maturity, while still being very, very tonic and fresh. Now, if we look on the notes for Cartier Carat, this was launched in 2018. I thought this was a bit newer. I guess I was wrong. It was done by Mathilde Laurent, of course, and the notes for this are green notes, pear, bergamot, and I thought this was turning into an apple. Again, I have to say I'm terrible with fruity notes and scents. I thought I was smelling a green apple, but it's, now that I think about it, I think the pear is a bit more appropriate, but they're quite similar, you know. Suffice to say, both of them are very juicy. The apple and the pear, or the pear, who cares? It's a very juicy, zesty type of scent. Now, then you have hyacinth and tulip, and this is very interesting because tulip as a note, you know, many people will tell you that tulips don't smell, they don't have a smell, which I think is not true. Tulips indeed have a very beautiful smell. It's one of my favorite smelling flower, but it's very, very faint, and you have to get really, really close, so close that you get your nose dirty on the pollen. And it's a leafy, bitter, green, spring floral type of smell, which is quite nice and quite unique. And also the hyacinth, which I don't detect necessarily, nor do I detect any tulip note. But hyacinth is also very iconic for spring florals, and the list goes on. You've got narcissus, lily, honeysuckle, violet, and ylang, and mimosa. So it's a bouquet of flowers, they say. But I have to say, it's more of a fruity scent. This is first and foremost, with an underlying level of undefined white florals, which, sad to say, they're not as interesting as the white florals in La Panthère, which is a fragrance we'll talk about again in the next video, because I got a sample with me. La Panthère is a white floral, but that offers so much more. It's much more bombastic, it's much more audacious, and it's a chypre. Well, this one is a fruity, floral, musky fragrance, because musk is also, I think, quite important, but it's joyous, youthful. I'm quite disappointed that the bitter note I sensed in the beginning, which I called a grapefruit, isn't as present as it was, because that gave it a, you know, sense of elegance. But you know, it's still a nice, easygoing scent, I think. And I still prefer it to Chanel's Eau Fraîche. Alright, now I'm going to save the best for last, because we all know which one is the best here. And we're going to smell La Petite Robe Noire Eau Absolue. Let's see what the new flanker for La Petite Robe Noire has to offer and has to say. Alright, so it's quite similar to the, you know, the La Petite Robe Noire line. It's very nice, but I do have some things to say. So for the fans of Rose Chérie, I think it's quite similar to Rose Chérie. Now, a bit about Rose Chérie. Rose Chérie was launched into the La Matière line a few years ago, and that fragrance was supposed to be the same as an older fragrance of theirs, which was French Kiss. I don't agree with that statement. I think they're very similar, but not quite the same scent. French Kiss was a very delicate but quite potent, springy, summery raspberry rose It was so good. It was like drinking freshly squeezed raspberry juice, and that's what made it quite unique. Rose Cherie is more musky rose. They're fairly similar, but not quite. Now this one is quite similar to Rose Cherie. It's lipsticky violet rose with a bit of that raspberry feeling, but it's more akin to, because they always cite a cherry for La Petite Robe Noire. This is a sour cherry. This is very tart. It's similar to Black Perfecto, which was very good, but that one was darker and more leathery. This one's quite nice as well. And for the fans of both Rose Cherie and Black Perfecto, and even French Kiss to some degree, I think you should try this La Petite Robe Noire Eau de Parfum Absolue, because I think it's quite interesting. It'll of course be cheaper, and it'll still be available, because those two are discontinued, French Kiss and Black Perfecto. Rose Cherie is still available, but you know, it's much more expensive. So I think this is a nice fragrance, but I feel that we already, you know, have it. Now let's go to Ne m'oubliez pas. I'm fairly curious about this one. So Ne m'oubliez pas is a fragrance that I haven't smelled before. I have this thanks to Sebastian Furtado. As always, thank you. You are very much appreciated. I know about this fragrance that it was launched, oh my, it was launched in 2015. It was done by Thierry Vasser. You know, back in the day when Thierry Vasser made fragrances at Guerlain. And it's supposed to be named after a lipstick released somewhere in the 1870s. I'm not. This may as well be shrouded in, you know, mystery and the fog of time. This is delicious, almondy. It doesn't feel like a recent launch at all. This feels very old in the house of Guerlain. I don't know. It's got that jicky halitosis smell. It's deep, bitter. I think it's coumarin what I'm smelling. Has to be, right? It's definitely bitter tonka. That's almondy and vanillic with, so that's right, it's like I'm smelling a rosy jicky. This is spectacular. I'm so I'm always, you know, sad when I'm smelling these fragrances that are no longer available. This used to cost 500 euros for 125 milliliters. And I think it was 60 exclusive. Oh my goodness. This is so nostalgic. It's like I'm smelling a rosy violet jicky. I can't liken it to anything else from Guerlain. I can liken it to Vanille Tonka from Parfum de Nicolai, which I think is quite close to this, minus the, you know, the florals in this are so breathtakingly exalting the entire fragrance. It's like making everything smell just divine. It's so beautiful. Ne m'oubliez pas. Oh my god, let's look on the notes before I do something crazy like search for this on eBay. I guess this is like thousands of dollars now, because eBay people are crazy. Let's see. The notes for this are plum, cumin, cardamom, rose, immortelle, carnation, cinnamon, patchouli, vanilla, amber, and moss. I stand by my nose. I know what I said, and I stand by it. It's like it's a never-ending fragrance. It's got so much depth. The rose in this is superb because it's not, you know, it's not jammy rose. Definitely. It's very delicate floral / violet rose because it is a bit lipsticky, this one as well. And the Guerlain is so, it's the nutty part of the Guerlain. The nutty, spicy part of the Guerlain. It's so beautiful. And again, it's so creamy. It's very woody. This is blended so well. I couldn't tell you which is which. It's like a very woody, floral, again fruity smell with that very familiar Jicky smell, which again, it makes it fresh. It balances it out so well. I can't let this one go, but I have to because I want to go through all of them one more time. Alright, so the first one was Chanel Eau Fraîche. Fruity, Calvin Klein-ish, watery cologne. It's a very youthful scent. It's nothing to write home about. I mean, I wouldn't wear this. I wouldn't bother with this. Let's see, Carat. Now, Carat, in comparison, always more interesting. The white florals, I think, became just a bit more apparent, and they're a bit more on the spring floral aspect, you know. The hyacinth is definitely there, and hyacinth is already fruity, almost green apple, right? It reminds me of a particular orchid that I grow that smells just like a more green apple, fruitier and a bit more coconutty hyacinth, which is very interesting. Maxillaria, I think it's called. I'll put a picture if I find anything. It's quite nice, this one. It smells very elegant, and I think it's well done, but I still think it's a youthful scent, but I do prefer this to Chanel Chance Eau Fraîche. Now let's see La Petite Robe Noire. This is gorgeous. I like this one. It's rosy, musky, violet, lipsticky. As I said, hasn't changed. It's beautiful tonka, almondy. That's right. It's a solid scent. And Ne m'oubliez pas, which is just so sexy and bitter and mature, and you know, that was very beautiful. I wonder, can I liken it to something else from Guerlain? I don't think so. I don't think there's anything quite like it. I wish there was. I wish there was one, but very woody, bitter, but fresh and tonic and deep. Yeah, well, that was it. These were my first impressions on these scents. I hope you found something useful. If you've got any other questions, do let me know in the comments. And until next time, remember, fragrance creates memories, and may yours be happy.